Hospitality Meets is brought to you by RotaCloud, the simple workforce management software for hospitality teams. RotaCloud lets you create and share rotas, record attendance, and manage your team's annual leave, all in less time than it takes to make a brew. It can also make life easier for your staff, allowing them to check their rotas, request holiday, and even pick up extra shifts, all through the RotaCloud mobile app. Start your 30-day free trial today by visiting rotacloud.com/Phil and find out how much easier managing your team can be. Welcome to Hospitality Meets with me, Phil Street, where each week we take a light-hearted look into the stories and individuals that make up the wonderful world of hospitality. Today's guest is Ella De Beer, Director at Professional Development Legends Electric Mayonnaise. Coming up on today's show, Ella feeds Leonardo DiCaprio some chicken.
I remember handing, Leonardo DiCaprio a chicken on a stick.
Phil stretches the boundaries of reality. I almost sounded coherent there for a second. And Ella brings a special guest to the staff briefing.
Tom Hanks came to a briefing.
All that and so much more as we chat through Ella's immense story so far. Ella's story is just brilliant. She's worked for some cracking brands in her time so far, and this chat is laced with stories, so please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a like and a share wherever you can. Enjoy. And a huge Hospitality Meets welcome to Ella De Beer.
Hiya.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yes, good. Twice in 2 days, this is.
I know.
Us connecting. What's going on?
I don't know. I think Joe as well sort of seen a lot of me this week as well. It feels like one of those crazy weeks.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I'm glad you mentioned Jo. A big shout out to her, actually, because otherwise you and I are probably not having this discussion.
True, yes.
And that is my awesome colleague, Jo Harley. If you're listening, I'll test you on it later. But how are you anyway? Where do we find you in the world today?
Well, Friday's mop-up day, right? So I try not to leave Hartford just so that I can try to get to the end of the to-do list before the weekend starts. But it usually ends up getting a longer to-do list than it starts at the end of the day. But otherwise,
yes.
Yeah, Hartford.
Tick one off, add two more.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, I understand. 100% relate to your plight. But yeah, you mentioned Hartford. Which part of Hartford are you in?
Town centre, literally Hartford town centre.
Oh, you are in Hartford itself. You're not a million miles away from me then. I'm Stansted, so.
Oh, well, there you go.
Could have done this in the pub. But
next time.
I actually thought you said this is my pub day, not mop-up day.
It should be a pub day, right? Let's. What's the time? 12 o'clock. Well, there you go. Past midday now.
5 o'clock somewhere, and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, I just tell the world a little bit about what you currently are up to.
I'm a co-founder of Electric Mayonnaise. So we are 5 years old now, ish. Yes. It's in a process of evolution, I would say. We are 2 years into being an apprenticeship body, which is super exciting. We deliver a level 4 hospitality future leaders program, and we've just launched a coaching level 5, and we will be launching a CIPD level 5. I guess what makes us different is that everyone that works for Electric Mayonnaise is a hospitalitarian. We don't come from an education background. We are operators, we are chefs, and so we are teaching how we wish we had been taught.
Right.
I think. So all of the courses that we run with a massive hospitality lens, I guess. And we try to make it really practical and interactive so that, you're learning tools and skills that you can really use in your day-to-day jobs to become like a rounded general manager, or, if you're moving into area or ops or, that kind of stuff. So,
right, yeah.
The job, yeah.
Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the world of apprenticeships becoming a touch more complicated because of our lovely government?
Yes and no. They are trying to change it. They haven't yet made anything that has a significant impact on hospitality, but that's only because...
It's only a matter of time, surely.
I wish they would actually make some of the changes. Some of them are about shortening the apprenticeships to quicker bite-sized bits that you can do in a faster time frame, which would suit hospitality.
Yeah,
but they're only reserving that for finance and construction and industries that they value rather than us lowlifes.
Rather than the third biggest industry in the UK or whatever we are.
Yeah, exactly. And especially when what did they say? What did I read this morning? youth unemployment, the highest it's been since however. And I was like, well, guess who employs the youth,
Well,
guys?
indeed. 1 million or something it hit, didn't it?
I know, and honestly, the fact that they can't cordon on to the fact that they're squeezing the only industry that probably takes on young people with no experience.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, guys. It doesn't take rocket science to put two and two together.
No, but apparently there are enough restaurants in the.
I
Oh
heard that too.
my God! I'm not going to make this a political rant
Let's
podcast, but
move
it's
on.
very tempting.
Yeah, so it isn't impacting us yet, but I suspect there will be some reforms that come into play in the next couple of years.
Right.
Nothing that scares us yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Right. Well, let's go back in time then.
Okay.
Take us all the way back to the beginning of your career, and how did you get on your ladder in the first place?
I grew up in South Africa, and from Dutch parentage, to Dutch parents, so I am quite tall by South African standards.
I can confirm this as well, having met
Yeah.
you.
And so I guess I never looked my age. So I started waitressing, telling people that I was 16 when I was 14.
Right.
So I got a job at 14 in my local burger joint, working weekends. I think I was always quite determined to be financially independent in South Africa. So I had quite a few jobs. By the time I got to sort of 18, I think I had 3 waitressing jobs at different restaurants.
Right.
And I enjoyed it. I think it was where I built my confidence. I think I was a very shy teenager, and it gave me the opportunity and exposure to people, and allowed me to, interact, find myself, find my who I was going to be, mix with older people, have my independence, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's kind of where I started, and then it was my financial freedom, I guess. It's what paid for my ticket out of South Africa to come to the Netherlands. And then I did a year of au pairing in the Netherlands and part-time waitressing. I worked in my first Greek restaurant where my name, Ella, means come here in Greek. So that was, fun and games.
Sometimes you just can't write this stuff, can you? It's just...
No, yeah, exactly. So that Greek family loved me because, they just repeat my name twice over. And from there, I decided to study in the Netherlands. I went to university, and it was a very close decision between going to the Hague School of Catering and doing it properly, or doing a sort of generic bachelor's degree in humanities and art. And I chose the humanities degree. I didn't go to catering college.
Really? Well,
No,
there we are.
But I waitressed the whole way through.
Right. You just can't get enough of the waitressing.
Yeah, exactly. And then my boss at the restaurant that I was waitressing at, she started her own restaurant, and she said, will you come and do it with me? So I was like, oh, fantastic. So yeah, we opened a small little classic French bistro, I would say. And I guess that was my first management position. It wasn't formally called a management position, but there was just the 2 of us, so we did everything.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. It fed me decent meals instead of student food, while everyone else was eating, dodgy sandwiches and pot noodles. I had bouillabaisse for staff meals.
You're just racking up the reasons why somebody should come into hospitality. I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
it was a good life, and yeah, it was great. I mean, obviously, this was all in a foreign language, so it was all in Dutch, which I was sort of learning as I go. So there was also a language, I wouldn't say barrier, but certainly made for interesting times. And yeah, I think after that was kind of I quite like doing this. This is going to be it. And then I moved to London when I was about 21 after my bachelor's. And I got a job in the office because I thought that's what grown-up people do. They go and work in an office. I did a design consultancy, and I think in my 3rd week I was like, why do people sit across the way from each other and email each other instead of like talking to each other?
Mm.
And I think I quit after week 4 because I couldn't sit on my bum for 8 hours, and I really hated that you emailed people instead of talking to them. I missed moving and I missed engagement, I guess. And I was, throwing my CV out there to see what was out there. And I got invited for a trial shift at what was Mezzo at the time. in Wardour Street.
Yeah. Gotta remember that.
And yeah, I walked in on the top floor, and it was a restaurant supervisor position I think I'd applied for. And I was like, oh, I can do this. This is quite a decent, this is an easy sized restaurant, no problem. What I didn't realize was that the trial was actually for the downstairs restaurant, which was, did 600 covers on a Saturday night and turned the tables in 1 hour and 45 minutes on a little piece of paper, right? You used to like star through your reservations and, show where the tables were on that sort of progression so that you could kick them out after 1 hour and 45 minutes. So yeah, I
God,
was very
what a time.
quiet for a couple of months.
You forget about paper only ways of doing things, but
Yeah,
they did exist.
they did exist, exactly. You would go to the reception desk, you would get your list of tables that were seated at 6 o'clock. And as the restaurant supervisor, you'd walk around with those tables in a bill wallet on a piece of written down check paper, and then you do literally a star, right? So one cross for starters, cross down the middle for mains, dessert, bill, out next table, please.
Yeah.
um,
How did we ever survive
I know.
with? But we
Well, I
did.
mean, we did, and it was efficient.
Yeah.
We knew what was
Yeah.
going on.
You could argue, and I
Yeah,
shouldn't say this as somebody who works in a tech company, but with these environments in which we all people of a certain generation will be with me on this, we all worked in environments where we weren't really backed up by tech. We had to use pieces of paper and our brain to
yeah.
get round a problem. Could argue it was a simpler time.
It was, yes. And I was there for 5 years. It was amazing. Conran, for all the perceptions of it afterwards, was a fantastic training ground. There was a lot on offer to learn, to do. I moved up from supervisor to assistant general manager. We did loads of big high profile movie launches, and people, like, I remember handing Leonardo DiCaprio a chicken on a stick, which was like, oh my god, my absolute dream.
Yeah.
um
And who
uh,
else can say that, right? Like
exactly.
maybe no one. Maybe that was the only time he ever had chicken on a stick.
Exactly. Tom Hanks came to a briefing, like, honestly, like, it was good times. It was a 3 a.m. finish and a walk through Soho after you finish your shift, or if it was a Saturday night, you go for special Chinese tea in Soho and drink beer out of teapots.
Yep.
Um,
You're not the first person I've had on the podcast that told me about this phenomenon.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Um,
What a
but
time to
yeah,
be alive, though. What a time.
exactly. I was 21. It was great.
Yeah.
And some of those people are still my best friends today. So 20 something years later, we still see each other. And I think that's one of the beauty of hospitality, right? It's
Yeah.
the ability to make hard and fast friends.
For sure, especially in a volume environment like that
Yeah.
as well, where it like everything is ramped up, I suppose, a little bit, whereby you do not have a choice really but to be good at what you do, and if you're not, get there very quickly.
Yeah.
And then you'll learn the mechanics of how stuff works.
Yeah.
Volume puts everything on steroids, doesn't it?
And it's the dependency on others. It is literally like a spider web, right? If you don't hold up your little corner, the whole thing collapses. So, that builds trust really quickly. So, yeah, I mean, a really great space. I loved it.
Yeah. So what happened next?
Oh, then I moved on to pubs. I got offered a general manager position, which was obviously I thought, quite prestigious. I think I was 24 at the time, and I went to go and work at the House in Islington, which was, I suppose, one of the first gastro pubs before that was a dirty word, right?
Is it a dirty word? I'd love a gastropub.
Everyone calls themselves a gastropub these days, and are they
That's
really
true.
gastro?
Yeah, that's true. I love a proper gastropub where
Yeah,
the gastro is proper gastro.
exactly. I mean, we had a lovely chef named Jeremy who was in charge of the kitchen, and he did beautiful classic food. The pub was on the corner in Canterbury, so it had these, like, a beautiful terrace and these sort of side terraces. We had some tablecloths, and it felt really homely and lovely. Fireplace, nice bar. And it was a great mix between, like, really great food and a boozer that locals would come in and sit at. And yeah, I mean, I loved that. I was behind the bar. It's different to working in a big operation, because in a big operation you do one thing. In the general manager, as a small business, you do all the things.
Everything.
So exactly,
Yeah,
changing the eggs, payroll.
Yeah. Painting the wall,
Yeah, exactly.
fixing the
Clean the
toilet.
toilet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was there for a couple of years and then moved into operations for them as they did their second pub in Highgate and then a third in Mayfair. And I guess that was my first ops job. Yeah. And it went from there. So then I kind of stayed in operations. I moved on to another pubco. I joined a company that was called 333 at the time. They had the Admiral Codrington in South Ken, and we opened Devonshire Terrace, which was one of the first big restaurants in Devonshire Square when that was all being redeveloped. Scary. That was a scary opening. It was a 300-seater restaurant with like 4 private dining rooms and 2 terraces, and we opened it literally as the financial crash happened.
Oh, joy.
And I remember
In that
holding the
part of town
newspaper.
as well.
Yeah, exactly, and
Yeah.
everyone had bans on spending, and yeah, I mean, I remember the newspaper had this sort of like desert with those rolling, what are they called, tumbleweeds.
Yeah.
As I was standing in the middle of this huge restaurant, and I was like, shit.
Yeah. God.
Yeah, that was a hard build. It took years to get that to where it was supposed to be trading, but a beautiful site. Yeah, it was really good. And then we decided to sort of morph that company into a sort of total pub company, I guess, and we started buying freehold pubs outside of London. So at that point, I was ops director, and we co-founded what was called Cirrus Inns, and we grew from 1 pub to I think it was 12 in just under 2 years. Again, lovely, beautiful pubs with bedrooms and sort of in small, remote bits of the UK, in Dorset and in Somerset, and those kind of places.
How did you find the kind of the change of scenery? I suppose because your only experience, I suppose, to that point was London,
London? Yeah,
and now you've gone, into the countryside. Very different.
yeah, we
Well,
made some
a
big
lot of things different, I suppose.
yeah, we made some big fuck ups.
Said everyone ever, by the way.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
yeah,
I should have asked you, can we swear on this podcast?
you can do you, as they say. No problem this end.
Yeah, I mean, one of the pubs we took over was a beautiful coach house in Frome, right, in Somerset, which is quite an interesting town. And
Interesting with inverted commas.
yeah, well, is this broadcast nationally? Yes.
I mean, kind of internationally actually these days, but
Oh,
yeah, we don't
I
have to
mean,
go there. If it's a problem, don't make. I
no,
can cut that out. Don't worry.
it's just got it's got quite a unique, quite independent feel to it. And we hadn't done our research. We didn't know the town very well. We were Londoners. And we ended up firing half the team that work in the pub because it was way overstaffed and wasn't making any money. And the poor general manager actually got stalked. I mean, literally, like townsmen would come haunting them, basically. And we learned very quickly that actually, getting to know the local demographic and understanding the impact that those small pubs have in the community there is significant.
Yeah.
You can't just come in and take away the jobs from the young people. And
Yeah. So it's like the integration lesson, integrate rather than dominate, or I don't know what the saying would be, but
yeah, and understand the importance, I guess, of those businesses. It is this similar to the conversations that people are having now in hospitality, where we are, you said the third biggest employer, but we are one of the only employers that employ regionally, right? Like outside London, we employ young people regionally, and we can't negate the importance and impact of that. Where do young people go to find work? It's not a paper round anymore. It's a pub in a local, it's a job in your local pub.
Yeah.
Pot washing or collecting glasses or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And in rural communities, and particularly Somerset, which is like farming traditionally, those jobs are really important.
Massively a huge part of the community, right? And the reason that things are able to, and actually even in your own story, you even kind of highlighted it all the way back at the beginning of your career when you first took your first waitress job, and what that brought to you as a human being in terms of brought you out yourself a little bit and made you less shy and able to deal with people. And these are social skills that are fundamentally important to a country's ability to thrive. You know,
Completely.
yeah.
Even more so post COVID, right? Where we've become introverted as a society, and people have lost some of that social skill.
Mm.
Hospitality is the only way that you can grow those. We go to schools now, and we meet children who are interviewing, and we do interview days with them to teach them interview skills. And you find that the ones that have a part-time job, or the ones that are playing in team sports, 10 times better prepared for the world than the ones that don't.
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
you only have to ask the question why, right? Why would that be? And it's because of social interaction.
correct. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's huge.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know
so
if
yeah,
who's our prime minister at the moment? I forget his name.
Keir Starmer.
It's very very forgettable. Um, yeah, I don't know if he listens to this podcast, but anyway, now you know what the problem is.
Mm,
To do something. But
do something.
yeah,
Yes, yes. What is it? Alan Simpson from UK Hospitality. What does he call it? Social. I don't know. The opposite of financial equity. It's the social equity that hospitality has, and
right.
we outweigh any other industry from that perspective, right?
Totally. But there has to be, I don't know, this is way beyond my pay grade, but there is, for, I'm a gut feel guy. So, and also I like to think that one of my, well, certainly one of the things I love to do the most is to interact with people. But I see the benefit of doing that in my own life, but also in, just the benefit that it brings to whatever room you're in the moment. There has to be some correlation between that environment where people are comfortable enough to be able to speak, and even comfortable in uncomfortable situations to speak. That's probably the next level after where we're at the moment. But then that probably has to, and again, I don't know this for sure, but it just feels like it has to impact productivity, capability, the just the general output of people, the confidence of people to do things that test them and stretch their comfort zone, and it's an upward trajectory of, the economy is the benefactor of that in the end. That's what
Yeah,
my stupid brainless head thinks, but I
yeah.
don't feel like I could be that far off.
No, I think you're completely right, and we see that through how upward mobility in hospitality, right? You don't have to have an academic degree to get to a general manager position, and you don't have to, you don't even need maths and English. You know what I mean? Like how many KPs are now general managers, or
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff, and they've come into the country without any English, and don't have the qualifications, and you learn language, you learn social interaction, you learn skills, and you can just grow, and that is, yeah, that's the
yeah.
beauty of it.
And you learn maths in a different way. That's the
You
thing,
do.
right? You learn it
Yes.
in a usable, practical way that will help you in the world, as opposed to, it's only probably a very small handful of people that end up going into trigonometry, I would imagine.
Or remember how to use any algebra.
No,
Yeah.
indeed. Yeah. A equals something. That's,
Yeah.
yeah, something squared. Yeah. But anyway, we digress a little. So out in the pub company,
Yes, correct. And then had my son, and found that traveling 8 hours a day and then doing an 8 hour day was a little bit much.
was a bit too
uh,
much, was it? And a son.
yeah, yeah, and
That
son,
surprises
yeah.
me. Yeah.
Gave up, still remained a director, but gave up the sort of operational side, took some time off, and then joined a company called Source Market, which at the time just had one site in St Pancras. I
I
guess my
remember
first
it.
retail foray. Incredible site. I mean, it was literally what you saw was how wide it was. There was no other physical space behind what you saw. So it was literally all shopfront across.
I'd never seen anything like it, to be fair.
Yeah,
When first, I mean, I suppose that whole development of St Pancras was a kind of new way of doing things at a train station in the UK, right? Especially because it had an international flavour as well, and
yeah,
all of that. I actually had the founder of Source Market on the show a long
Ben,
time back.
yeah,
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I'd forgotten his name, but yes.
yes. Yeah, so I sort of stalked him down. I guess I've never really been recruited in hospitality, so I've never got a job through a recruiter, but I used to walk past Source Market every time to go down to Sussex with some of the pubs, and I was like, this is such a great concept. I wonder why there's not more than one.
Mm,
So when I was looking for a job, I sort of sent him paper letter you did in those days. It wasn't even an email, I don't think. But
With a stamp and
I know.
everything.
And I said, I want you. You want to hire me? You should hire me as your ops director so that we can grow your business. And she,
Nice.
and we did. We grew to 4 sites actually. St Pancras was always the flagship. It was a monster. I mean, you could stand behind those tills and not move for 8 hours. The volume of people that just came at you.
Mm.
And considering the spend per head there was like £5 a head, coffee and a pastry or whatever it was at the time. That site did 80k a week. It was an absolute monster.
Yeah.
And we had sort of 1,500 different suppliers that would drop off stuff daily, and you had to overcome, international security and all that kind of stuff. And it was crazy, but it was
what I really loved about that as well, and I actually remember talking to Ben about this when he was on the show around. That's a prime example of what happens when good communication happens between two entities that both require each other to be successful. And what I'm talking about here is a landlord, and I'm talking about a concept. And obviously there's challenges. There's always challenges. That just goes without saying. But to take on an unproven concept in that space, such a vast space as well that it occupies, and to say, yeah, let's do this. I can only imagine the passion that must have been demonstrated for the offer that you had, and in order to take the landlord on the journey with you, basically to go, yeah, we think this is amazing, and and of course nobody had done anything like that at a train station before. So kudos to them for taking the risk, but bigger kudos to you guys, I think, for being able to sell the risk. I suppose.
Yeah, and day in and day out, sort of keep up the momentum, right? Making sure that the site looked amazing, that there was always, you were constantly restocking, you were constantly building displays, you were constantly moving stock around between different storerooms at different parts of the building. I mean, it was a logistics massive puzzle. Fun, yes, fun.
What just describe to me what was day one like when you opened the doors, and you'd made probably plans around certain numbers, but I feel like maybe those numbers far outweighed what you thought was possible.
Yeah, I mean, it was an absolute bun fight to just keep up with the volume of people. Literally, as I said, you could stand behind that till and people would just, it would be one person. You never moved. You think about people in retail, like, oh, there's a bit of downtime, play on your phone, whatever. There was never, ever downtime. Never. There was never downtime.
Mm-hmm.
It was constant. And add in the complication of, 1,500 small producers, who, oh, here comes Johnny with his, boxes of pork pies. It was never all our deliveries in one delivery at one time to one place. It was constantly accepting deliveries. It was just chaos all the time, basically.
Yeah.
But it was really enjoyable, and Ben was, was a very open character and open to new ideas, new thoughts, new things all the time, which is, I guess, what made the concept successful. And I think paved a way for that small producer in bigger retailers. The reason probably why that business doesn't exist anymore is because those smaller retailers now can get into the bigger retailers much easier. And the bigger retailers then cut down on pricing. So we sort of out competed. We couldn't compete at level with waitresses of the world. But I think paved the way for bigger retailers to look at small producers and go, oh, this is exciting. We should give this a shot.
5-star hospitality means having the right people in the right place at the right time, and that's exactly where RotaCloud can help. RotaCloud is the online platform that makes planning rotas, recording attendance, and managing annual leave easy. Its simple, drag-and-drop interface lets you create and share rotas with your team in minutes, while our built-in budgeting tools mean you'll know exactly how much you're spending on staffing before sending the rota out. RotaCloud also makes life easier for your staff, allowing them to check their rotas, request time off, and pick up extra shifts, all through the RotaCloud mobile app. Start your 30-day free trial today by visiting rotacloud.com/Phil and find out how much easier managing your team can be.
Yeah, which is great. in principle. You know, I mean, much is maligned around some supermarket tactics of driving prices down and all of that in the farming world, and I think there's still a long way to go with that. But actually, giving people a route to market is also massively powerful. As long as both people win, then that's probably where the goal has to remain.
Exactly. Yeah, so that was source market, and then I sort of went on. I thought, I'm going to try and do some things on my own for a little bit. So I started a consultancy. It was more ops orientated. Quite liked it, but didn't love it because I didn't like being on my own. I missed teams and people. So after that, I joined MJMK, who are the owners of Cole and Lisboeta, and is now Luso, and Casa de Franco and Fonda.
Yeah, a cracking collection of restaurants.
Yeah, amazing. And the two founders, Jake and Marco, are like super dynamic, very fast paced, but I think it was the first time I'd worked for young, really young guys, and they, open, seat at the table, up for everything, very fast paced, but super exciting. It was a great business, yeah. And that was, I think, my first jump into 100% people role. Yeah, I was there as head of people, so moved from operations into traditional HR.
Right. And how was I had this conversation just yesterday at the conference, actually, around somebody who'd come from an ops background and had made the manoeuvring into a people role. Actually, in their circumstance, it was all around having more time for family and things like that, and that just the way that it worked out. But we spoke about the beauty of actually coming from operations and other parts of the business and then going into the people side of the business, because in principle, at least, it gives you a real handle on the day-to-day challenge that these guys have got to face.
Completely. And I think you're then also, you're an ally, right? Instead of you being, I think we approach HR with an ops hat. So we're not HR for the sake of it. We're HR for the love of people, and therefore we do the practical and the necessary and perhaps more human, as was the conversation yesterday, right? The human part of HR rather than the process part of HR. Yep. We're not that good at the process, to be honest, because we're ops, and 9 times out of 10,
not the way you get into, not the reason you get into it, really, is it? In the
end, exactly. But it means that we do it, probably 80% of the way just to get it done, instead of 100% perfect, because we're more ops than people. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a huge advantage. It means you understand the business. You can also be much more hands-on in the training and the development and the L&D side, because you can also write those manuals without needing to have the ops person write it all for you. You know what I mean? You've already transitioned, so you can help. You're definitely help.
Yeah, and it frees them up to then do what they're good at.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I was there for 2 years, and then I got approached to join Ottolenghi as CPO, and I was there for 2 years as well. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That was my last employed job.
Yes. in inverted commas again, but again, another brand that has it's been around for quite a long time now.
Yeah, 24 years, I think it is in total.
Yeah,
amazing. I mean, it always, even it's always been a brand I've wanted to work for. That was why I was super excited when I got approached. But they are a complete anomaly. Like it is a business of that size turning that volume that's still run as a family business. I mean, It is phenomenal. It's 100% people focused. It is 100% driven by people. Everything that is in Ottolenghi is human made. There's one guy who just chops chilies all day, one guy who peels lemons, like literally in the production kitchen. Everything is made by hand. There is no machine process in any of it. And to do 10 sites and the volume that it does, they're phenomenal businesses.
I think also speaks volume to one, how good the product is, and I haven't had much experience of it, but I do remember on a food tour in Notting Hill, one of the places that we stopped into was Ottolenghi, and it was just a little
single counter.
Little finger food item.
Yeah.
and it was to die for. But also, I think there's a couple of things in play there. One, 20 years is an incredible length of time to be in
Yeah.
business in that part of the world where the food evolution is incredible. So being able to kind of evolve themselves and also stay like in tune with trends and create new things and new I just think is wonderful. But also to hear that even in that length of time they've not lost their soul, the reason for doing it in the first place, that's still very, very prominent in the business. I think it's just it's a really joyous thing from the outside looking in to hear that when that's
It
in
is.
play.
And it is also, it has its own life. It's like you are part of something much bigger than just a restaurant group. There's a Facebook page called the Housewives of Ottolenghi, right? Which is like got 50,000 members or something
Wow.
ridiculous like this. And they share recipes and they have supper clubs and they like support each other in this whole community that is nothing related to actually, we don't have any involvement. In fact, they don't like us to be involved with them because they don't want to feel like there's some sort of, I don't know, political connection in some way. So
Yeah,
they,
yeah,
they,
yeah.
they keep themselves separate. But, Yotam went to one of their supper clubs recently. And I think we've had one or two of them up to the test kitchen. It's such a beautiful thing. It's like when people say, it's like a verb. Ottolenghi is a verb. You say food is Ottolenghi-fied. It's like it's a thing. People know
Yeah.
what you mean by that.
Yep.
So it's bigger than the restaurants and bigger than the company itself.
Yeah, it's a byproduct of brilliance. That's what we could call it, and but also like a blueprint for the rest of us as well. Like in terms of how to, it's still he strikes me as somebody who is as passionate about this as he was on day one.
Yeah.
Of starting it, and that comes across from every time he's on TV doing TV work as well, and so it just shows to the rest of us that passion with the right intention can still be, and probably should be, the real major driver of what makes it a successful business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was great. Sometimes a little frustrating because it still operates like a family business, and there is progress in tech, and sometimes it can be made a little bit easier. But you never lost the soul of it, which I think was the most amazing part of it. And
yeah,
to feel part of something so big is pretty inspiring.
yeah, 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 absolutely. So what happened then? I don't mean this dramatically, by the way. Like, what was the big thing that happened? What happened for you to kind of, I suppose, decide, right, I think it's time for me to go out on my own?
Um, we
Or
had
just
founded Electric Mayonnaise before I joined Ottolenghi, to be fair. So it was already trading 2 or 3 years when I joined Ottolenghi. And when we got the apprenticeship status, I guess, so to be able to deliver apprenticeships, I don't think we thought it would be as successful as it was.
right,
And we grew quite dramatically from sort of standing start of apprentices to, I think we've now got almost 200 on program. And that was in a very short space of time. And so there was a decision to be made as to whether I step into Electric Mayonnaise to continue to help that growth and continue to develop it, or stay in employment and give that to somebody else to do. But it needed the support. Basically, it couldn't have continued on the trajectory with the team that was in play there on their own. So yeah, that was the decision. And I thought, well, it would be nice to have a bit of control over my own time and do something for me that was actually doing really well. It wasn't a single consultancy anymore. It was a proper company. There were people employed. There's almost 200 learners. So yeah, it felt like it was gaining momentum. So yeah, that was September last year.
right, right. And was there a moment whereby previously where you had identified that, but there's potentially an opportunity here because, or something is not something could be done better than it's currently being doing? Is that what kind of instigated that in the first place?
Yeah, I think Electric Mayonnaise has always been slightly disruptive in that sense. So we started it out as we saw government agencies and bodies tapping into all this money that the government had, and delivering really terrible courses. I mean, I don't know if you ever had any of those companies approach you when you were in ops. They were like, well, you can teach hospitality. And then you would do some really dry, health and safety course and then a little bit of customer service, which was horrific. And, the government would pay, £800 per person to do that course. So we were like, there's money to be made here. So we started doing that. And then I think the apprenticeship was just a sort of natural evolution to that, because we were like, well, again, a lot of sort of generic companies doing it, not a lot of companies doing it really well. You'd have someone come in with their clipboard and saying, "Oh, have you done your, off the job learning hours?" And
everybody can visualize that right now. Like you've just, it's such an easy vision, because everybody's experienced it probably at some point.
Big A3 folder underneath the arm, and for us, hospitality, those you can't. It has to be taught. That's how we learned, right? We were taught by somebody who knew, hopefully, or was bullshitting, but knew was teaching us. And that's how we learn in hospitality. We are practical, hands-orientated industry. And so we need people who are teaching us the skills. And then we need to go and put those skills into practice. That's how all of us learned. That's how all of us grew. So we took the apprenticeships and we were like, well, we can do this. So ours are taught in-person workshops. And then you go away and you take the skills and you put them into practice. So we will do one of the workshops in the leadership program is labor control. So we talk about labor controls, we talk about rotas, we talk about, we give them a budget, we make them draw up a rota, we see what that percentage works out, we show them the impact of NI and tax, and then it delivers a little thing saying you've hit 50%. And then we're like, do you think that's sustainable in the business? And they go, no, we're supposed to be hitting 25. And I was like, well, how are you going to then build the rota to hit the 25? And then they go away and they write rotas for a couple of weeks. They use their own 18 rota system. They work under their general managers or ops managers or whoever the person is. They see the budgets, they see the wage percentages, they see the impact, and they write a reflection on how that's all gone and whether they've been able to achieve it. And that's the fun part. That's the bit that I love, is I like seeing, that they are able to impact. I mean, one of the projects we had one of the projects is to see how they can have impact on their gross, on their GPs, right, in the business. And this person who's currently on the program, she is I think a events manager for Rhubarb Hospitality, right, big corporate catering company. And she decided to pick no-shows and cancellations and see if she could change the impact of those on the business. And so she put a little process in place. They didn't at the time, phone people up and check that they were coming for their reservation. They didn't move the table plan around. It was kind of a little bit lax. And she put in all these little systems with having joint meetings with the rest of her team to talk about it and to get it all impacted. And I think she ended up dropping increasing the profit margin by like 5%. Just through, addressing the no-shows and putting a process and system in place.
Yeah.
And the impact on that, on her confidence and her ability to see what she can do in her role and the impact that she can have is phenomenal, right? Yeah. I can't beat that.
Yeah. And so, and rewarding, like for you as well, right? To be able to see, because you're also like, even just from it's not even a cold-hearted business perspective, but you're improving the workforce by doing this. Even if every one of the people who goes through your program takes one major thing away, like that can make that kind of difference to an organization or a team or whatever, then it moves the dial completely around the workforce capability within this. And actually, like the whole principle of learning as you go, that's how we all learned, like when we back in the day, right? You walked into a place, somebody gave you an opportunity that, in my case, most of the time it was like, I don't even know if I deserve this. And then somebody says, well, we think you do. Here's what you're going to learn over the next 3 months. Get on with it. Come back to us with any questions. Lots of questions. You learn. And all of a sudden, 3 months later, you're in a way stronger position than you were when you walked through the door. And it's the same principle, I guess, with somebody who's on an apprenticeship program, is that they've got the opportunity to learn while they're in the job.
Yeah.
And put it into practice.
And that's it. And that's the only thing that we're doing fundamentally, is we're putting some structure to it, so that actually, people go, oh, off the job learning hours, I have to give them 6 off the job learning hours a week. Yes, but you would anyway. You would be doing it anyway. It doesn't mean they have to go and sit in an office and read a book. It means they have to be doing something in the workplace that's not in their day-to-day job. So that could be writing rotas, it could be doing stock take, it could be working a shift in another department, it could be doing an appraisal, a one-to-one, onboarding someone, doing job interviews, all of these things. And we just put it into one full program where it's structured so that at the end of it, you've done everything. You've done, 4 modules on people, 4 modules on commercials, 4 modules on leadership, and then a speciality, So
Yeah.
it's just a way of structuring the learning so that people get a rounded full program, I guess, over a year period. And yeah, as you say, it's the way we all learned, and it is in a day and age where people are time tight, and the general managers and the ops managers don't have huge amounts of time to spend with people. This is an option to tap into levy funding that you're probably already paying into, or if not, you get 95% of it funded. Why would you not take advantage of that?
Indeed.
Yeah.
No brainer,
Use
I
it
think.
or lose it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also a lot of young people, what we see as well coming onto the program, especially more outside London than inside London, but they aren't getting the opportunity to go to university because it's too expensive, and they don't have necessarily the finances to go and just study full time, be a student in the traditional sense. And a lot of the reaction we get is, well, I want something to say that I've got a qualification in this, and this is why I want to do it. So we always in the industry always said, oh, we need to show that it's a career, right? We need to show that it can be a full-time, sustainable, lifelong journey, as we've all had in it. Now is our opportunity, because those people are coming into the industry. We don't have all the Europeans anymore. We have a lot of English people who are coming into the industry. Now is our chance.
Yeah.
Now we got to show that we can make it a career, that we can give you an education, that we can teach you everything, that we can grow you and give you those opportunities. And so if we don't take advantage of the kids that are coming through now and show them that, then we're writing our own narrative. We're reinforcing the perception that it is a dead end, part-time role.
Yeah, we all probably want the same thing in the end, right? Which is the recognition that this is a really professional industry. So let's do some things that really help that narrative.
Exactly.
And this is one of them. And it's staring you in the face.
It is. Yeah. It is. And if anything, it's just a nice to do, right? Give people opportunities and show them that they can do it.
Yeah.
One of the young ladies who's outside London, she started in the pub again as a KP, I think at something like 13 or something like that, and is now the sous chef at 21. Has been there for 7 years, 8 years in the same pub.
Right.
Our responsibility to her is enormous. Right. She has grown up with us. Our responsibility to her is to give her the next step, to make her the head chef, to give her the tools to be the rounded individual, and to make it to tell her that the decision she made is an excellent one.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it kind of feeds into that thing. I don't know if you've ever read a book called Legacy by James Kerr. It's it's basically a focus on the All Blacks, the greatest All Blacks side that ever existed in rugby, when they went on these long winning streaks and they were the number 1 team in the world. He did a little study as to some of the things that made them that way, and a lot of it was centered around values. It wasn't actually necessarily centered around extra hours in the gym or anything like that. And it was really that I really loved that concept of you create a framework in which people can bring the best version of themselves to that space. It's not the finished article, but it gives them the groundwork in which to become closer to that finished article that we never get to, but we keep edging closer to it. And it was really just centered around this simple principle around better humans make better leaders. And by investing in somebody to help them become a better human, we're helping ourselves create better leaders, not just in hospitality. I mean, this is probably another societal kind of observation, but But certainly within the world of hospitality, that's something that we can control and that we can showcase to the people that want to come and give this industry a go, that when you're here, we're going to look after you, develop you, take you as far as you wish to go, and hopefully that will put you in a much better place than in which you started, and whatever it is that you decide to do next.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, let's leave it there. That's
good.
probably maybe I almost sounded coherent there for a second, but better dial that back.
The only thing I'll knock in that is that was about the All Blacks and not about the Springboks.
Well, indeed. I'm sorry. Yes, I don't think anybody's. Somebody should do an analysis of them, because they've had a pretty good phase at the top of the game as well.
Worked hard too. Yeah, but no, we'll let the All Blacks go. That's fine.
Yeah. I can edit it out. It's fine.
No,
Brilliant. Well, I mean, I suppose the only question that remains really then is what's next? What does the future look like at this point in time?
I mean, to continue to grow, I think we're launching, the two other programs this year. The coaching is we've launched the first cohort of that, which is great. We've got people like Madeline Geach and Michelle Moreno and Merle Cammering teaching in it, so it's fantastic from a sort of female coaching point of view. And then the CIPD, which we'll launch as well, which will be, again, phenomenally written by people in the industry about how you actually manage people, especially the ER stuff that's coming up now. We're launching an HR consultancy side to the business to support businesses with sort of fractional HRD stuff. And yeah, I mean, the world's your oyster, I think. This is the exciting bit, essentially. We're looking at all the things that we wish someone had taught us when we were in hospitality, and we're going to go out and get them as apprenticeships and bring them in. So, we've been talking about a sustainability one, right? Like, how great would it be if there was a hospitality-focused sustainability apprenticeship where you can actually learn the metrics and how you measure electricity consumption and food waste and, all of that kind of stuff? Because these are what are, they're gaps. They are gaps in our knowledge as an industry, and gaps in opportunities and how to get that knowledge. So yeah, if we can find them and harness them and teach them, then that's the exciting bit for us.
Yeah, superb. Look, it's been a total joy to have some time with you today.
Oh, thank you.
A great story, and also I was completely underprepared for this. So, but I kind of like that sometimes because it's it just kind of. I don't know, your story is a great example of what's possible, because it strikes me, and again, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but there wasn't a grand plan. It was, this is cool, I'm going to give that a go. That's led to something else, which is cool, I'm going to give that, and so on and so forth. And all of a sudden, you have a fantastic career under your belt. To this point, and now making a difference in business, but in human terms as well. So no, it's a fantastic story. I'm really grateful that you spent some time with me on the show today.
Well, thank you for inviting me on.
My pleasure. I'll see you at an event sometime soon.
I no doubt.
What are you doing tomorrow?
Maybe we should have a glass of wine when we do next time.
Yeah, very good. Absolutely.
Great.
Nice one. Thanks so much, Ella.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And there we have it. Ella proving that the best people to teach hospitality are the people who've actually done hospitality. An absolutely cracking journey. Great to spend some time with her. We will, of course, be back next week with another awesome journey from hospitality, so have yourselves a cracking week, and I'll see you then.